the Lekki Tollgate, massacres, it's way as some people have called it.
I didn't even know when I started crying. I just completely broke down.
Yeah.
It was just a very, very horrible feeling. And this was a week to my birthday. On the first day, I remember very clearly I seen a tweet from Runtown, speaking about a planned protest.
Yeah.
And it instantly resonated with me. So I spoke to him. I was like, bro, let's ginger this thing together.
Are you sad that you're not eventually practicing law?
I mean, I did practice for a short period of
Yeah.
time. Youth service. I was working at the Ministry of Justice.
Yes, I know that.
2013, I was at my father's firm.
Right.
End of 2014 was kind of when things started to pick up. So, I was kind of going out of practice already by then.
You're one of the pioneers of this new skit culture.
Yeah, to be honest. That kind of was the beginning of
Yes.
the skit culture, yeah.
2016, I took my first class. I was teaching students, master students, I think, I'm not sure, at Pan Atlantic University. And I was using you as a case study. You had just won the EMVCA. And at that time, I thought, of course, you couldn't have reached the apex, but I thought, what he's done is a mind-blowing. That was 2016.
Yeah.
When you think back at that, did you ever conceive the kind of path that, no?
Definitely. You definitely don't see this kind of you don't plan these kind of things.
Yes.
For me, at that time, even before that time, it was just, I love the arts and I just want to keep on doing the arts and, and see where it gets me. But, I never conceived that, okay, this is where I'll get to.
Yeah.
It's not a thing you plan.
In your case, it couldn't even have been planned.
Yeah.
Because none of this was typical when you were growing up.
Exactly. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Even like the comedic act.
Yes.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
It was a thing that I kind of stumbled on.
How?
So, talking in that manner, with that jest and all that stuff, was a thing that I kind of used to do with my siblings, just, for jokes, just playing around and, kind of mimicking that, accent. But then it just kind of became a thing on its own. 2016, that year that you mentioned, probably my most remarkable year till date, just because a lot happened.
A lot.
a lot happened. But I think the beginning was maybe just a year or a little more than that before 2016. I was on holiday with my family, and we had just been, I think we were in Paris at the time, and we were just, in similar fashion, just messing around, just joking and sort of talking in the accent, and my sister must have been filming me. So I posted it up on my Instagram. At this time, Instagram had those 15-second videos. I don't know if anyone, if you can remember at that time, that means you go way, way, way back. 15-second videos
in the beginning.
Squeeze everything you
inside.
Can.
Yes.
So I must have said something random. Yeah. And I just posted it on my Instagram, and I saw the response was wild. Everybody was commenting and people were laughing and dying. It was at that moment that it kind of dawned on me that I hadn't really been showing this online. It was something that I was comfortable doing in my space and just being funny. But I hadn't really shown it to the world. However, prior to this, in my music, there were already elements of it. Yeah, elements of it here and there because it had just become a part of me and my arts. And once I saw that sort of response, everything from then onwards was planned, orchestrated. And like I said, at this time, Instagram had a 15-second limit. Yeah. So you have to squeeze all that creativity in there, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
It was just thinking back sometimes, I just felt it was a lot of work, man.
It was a lot of work.
And it was back to back to back, and the trajectory was crazy upwards from there.
Yeah. You're one of the pioneers of this new skit culture.
Yeah, to be honest. be honest, that kind of was the beginning of like, the skit culture. Yeah.
Yes, that was the thing. You know, it's just I thought it was just a joke. You know, with a little bit of Falz, a little bit of Chigo.
Yeah.
You know, just like, but this thing cannot. This thing is not work now. But now it's now become an entire thing. I was watching you in. Was it a skit? Was it Shaggy you did? The landlord.
Yeah. The landlord.
I thought this has come full circle.
Full circle, bro. Complete circle. Yeah. When I think back to these times of mine.
Yeah.
I remember the entire LOB series. Yeah. Even the skits before that. The very first skits I did. I remember that I was in the car. I was wearing like a suit and I was like, I'm a young man from Yoruba Hill of Nigeria.
It's when you switch it that kills me.
I really for a young lady, preferably yellow in color. I remember that. No, man, that video, bro. It was like that level of viralness.
Yes.
I hadn't, like, prior to that, I couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah. Were you under pressure growing up? Because if your dad, before your dad became San, he was first Sam, senior advocate of the masses. You know, it's like, if you're not going to give you this San,
this is true.
You know, your dad was Fela's lawyer.
Yep.
You know, your dad has been, it's sometimes like, I don't know how your dad is not 80.
Because it started super early.
It started super early and started succeeding super early. What's the pressure on you growing up? These two lawyers, top of their game from very young. Was there?
I wouldn't say pressure. But when I was super young, initially it was like, man, these people have to be something, because I was already getting that sort of reaction, like everywhere I go, and maybe I mentioned my name, be like, which Falana? Is it Femi Falana? Oh, wow, So that reaction, everyone sort of had a story of how he sort of came to their aid at some point, how he fought for them and, he was there for them, and, at this point, and all that. So at that time, it was just me taking everything in that calm. This is something. So it was more, not necessarily pressure, it was more like aspiration, like, I would like to emulate this type thing. Yeah.
Are you sad that you're not eventually practicing law?
I mean, I did practice for a short period of time.
Yeah, a few months.
Yeah, albeit very short, but it was maybe up to maybe almost 2 years safe.
Oh, really? I thought it was a year.
Yeah, 2013, 14, 12, 13. Yeah, because I was youth service. I was working at the Ministry of Justice.
Yes, I know that.
I think that was like 2012 or so.
Yeah.
And then 2013, I was at my father's firm.
Right.
2014 was kind of when, end of 2014 was kind of when things started to pick up. So, I was kind of going out of practice already by then.
Jennifer's diary.
That was one of the first ever things I even ever did that is film related. And one of the only thing I think I remember doing before Jennifer's Diary was a movie called Couple of Days.
Ah, right.
A movie called Couple of Days. Yes, that was my first ever film.
Yeah.
Then Jennifer's Diary.
Yes.
Shortly after. So all these would have been 2014, 15.
15 years.
Yeah. And, so it all started from these kids.
Yes.
I remember Funke Akindele, big shout out to her, by the way. She had reached out to me, maybe via Instagram or something, anyway, saying, she had seen some of those videos, and she had something she was working on, she would like me to be a part of. At this point, there was no Jennifer's Diary.
The series, there was not. I mean, actually, Jennifer, yes, there was nothing. Yes, the diary didn't exist.
It was at the beginning.
Yes,
it came at the beginning.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, and then we spoke about it, and eventually we got on set. And getting on set for me was like, this is something new, but it was exciting for me. That I just really wanted to.
You were having fun.
I was having fun, and I think it was probably the best possible. Second literally, but one of the first few projects, definitely one of the best possible because of how light-hearted it was. Just the process of filming was so seamless, was so exciting. And sort of getting to be side by side with someone that's probably the most hardworking entertainer that I have ever come across.
Funke is mad. Insane.
That I've ever crossed paths with. No, I don't think I've ever crossed paths with any other entertainer in this country that is more hardworking than she is.
Let's talk about Chief Daddy 1. Chief Daddy 1 was a big blockbuster shoot, you know.
To be honest with you, even after we did the film, I didn't even know that it would be as popular as it was. But because I knew it was very star-studded. But you know, being a light-hearted comedy, you know, I just didn't really know how far it would go. But it, you know, turned out to be extremely popular.
It's a blockbuster.
And you know, that character, that's another another character that's very, very close to my heart. It's very, very close to my heart. Yeah. Particularly because I feel like this character is kind of different from most of the other characters that people are used to seeing me play.
Yeah.
You know, is a spoilt brat from London.
Yes.
You know, so it's, you know, it's kind of different than the normal Raz.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And rather than saying funny things, he doesn't even know
he's
that
just clueless.
Yeah, he's just a clueless guy.
Yes, just clueless.
So I that's one reason why I really, really like this character.
We can't end without talking about EndSARS. You know, yeah. You know, did you know that it was going to light such a huge fire? I remember you calling out your colleagues, you know, join this thing. And at that point, you were shouting into the wind because yes, you had done conscious music, but you had not actually visibly like that. You've been in protests before, so this is not the first protest you enjoyed it. But just one that you were triggering, or you were one of those triggering. You know, did you know that it would light? Could you have known that it would light such a fire in the hearts of Nigerians and people across the world?
I don't think anyone knew.
Could have known.
I don't think anyone saw it coming.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone could have even imagined that it would be so crazy. But it was super exciting to see. At the beginning, it was just, you know, this is an issue that everyone feels so strongly about. This is something that has continued. You know, people are continuously being harassed, tortured, extorted by the very same people that are supposed to be protecting us. So, you know, it was just it was an outcry.
Yeah.
And on the first day, I remember very clearly I seen a tweet from Runtown, you know, speaking about a planned protest.
Yeah.
And it instantly resonated with me. So I spoke to him. I was like, bro, let's ginger this thing together. You know, it has to happen. So, you know, I put out a tweet as well. I was like, you know, we're doing this protest on this day. Everyone come out. Let's do it. I thought, you know, maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people, or more.
Yeah.
The entire stretch of Ozumbamba was.
Yes.
It was packed. And this is the very
first day.
Very first day. It was packed.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that was when I knew that, this thing that we have started is something.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize up until that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you scared at any point the way it was growing, that, you know, were you worried for yourself and just generally for, you know, just what would happen to the people in this?
I think more people were worried. People were more worried for me than I was even worried for myself or for anything else.
Right.
Why? Because I think that there has to be a level of aggression. There has to be a lot of aggression, of anger in our demeanor, in everything. Because, bro, just look around you. And this is it's something that has been disturbing me for the longest time. We're existing in such nonsense. But everybody has become so accustomed to trying their best to stay alive and trying their best to keep on going that they forget to look around and